right, this one I'll do for Ryan.
I
love it. In a minute. That's when I'm by myself, so I can push the button.
So you can actually start recording.
That should be your signature move, though.
All right. He might be running for governor in the great state of Texas. So today we got a treat for everybody. Mr. Ryan Reilly is with us. So his team just crossed over the 300 mark for the year. So good, big ups to Ryan and his team.
Thank you.
So heck yeah.
That is impressive. But we're going to pull back the curtain, tell all. You were just going over an amazing story that we're about to go through. So, what's working now and how you went from, I think you told me this story, like when you first went to Columbus, you didn't really know anybody. You were getting into real estate. So similar to Mr. Road over here with Lake of the Ozarks. So we're going to go from how you went from where you were at the very beginning to now having a team that's closing over 300, which is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. It's always a good time with these two.
Yeah, lots of fun. Well, let me take you down that same line of questioning and get back to where we were before I stopped this, because I was like, roll the deal, Jake. Let's go. Yeah. So to begin, I want to talk about Market Maker selfishly because you've been on the platform for just a little,
is it 2 years?
Is it that long? How long has it been?
No.
I don't know how long
has
it's been. Regardless, this year, right? You told me you had closed 31 deals?
31.
Okay. And that was as of November, which is awesome. So in 11 months, you'd close that amount. And I know you're this is one pillar in your business, Ryan, which is
correct.
A key takeaway for those watching. Multiple pillars is the key to having a strong real estate business. But of that 31, I think your advertising budget is, all in, you're $1,500 a month on Market Maker.
Correct.
So that represents about $16,500 that you had invested within 11 months. Do you know what that 31 transactions represented as far as gross commission?
I do. A little over $6 million in volume. So that's what to the house. I think it was about 90,000.
90,000 in gross commissions. That's amazing.
To the house. Okay. I do a 50-50 split with my agents.
So double.
181 would be the total, yeah.
181 in gross commissions. So 181 in gross commissions return on about $16,500 investment.
Yeah, well, I always look at the actual. So the actual would have been 80 on a 16.5. You know what I mean? Because I'm giving, but the total.
Oh yeah, for you. Yeah, but for somebody who doesn't necessarily have a team, right? That's what I'm trying to unpack.
Oh,
you don't
100%.
Have a team. Yeah, and you're out there and you're turning these opportunities and leads and appointments into commission dollars. That would be your investment, $16,500, to get back 180 G's if you're Ryan Reilly or Ryan Reilly's team. Yeah, and so I just wanted to really, lay that out foundationally because, like I was telling you, there's a lot of people who, we'll get them. They jump from product to product to product. They're always looking externally as far as the problem is concerned, and they're never looking internally for the skills. And so it's just refreshing to have, a badass like you who can just take something and be like, okay, let's install it into, our company, into our team. And in doing so, we're going to be able to, get a significant return on investment.
100%.
Yeah.
That's more than what, 10X and 16 to 181. It's more than 10X in my investment.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that what escapes a lot of people is the how. And so I wanted to break that down. But also where we were just a minute ago is essentially, people watching this, they'd say, oh, yeah, that's easy for him. He's a mega agent. He's got a mega team. He's got doing 300 transactions. Of course, he can do that. Right. And so I was like, let's go back to when that wasn't the case. And you were just, fearful, like all of us were, right, to invest in your business. It's just complete unknown. And so you were telling us that story. Let's go into that.
Yeah, you were taking me down memory lane. I don't know how you started it. Of just remind me of you said when you got started, when you were kind of scared to invest, not knowing, right? It's the thing that I've been very good at and blessed about is to invest in myself and to put myself in positions of being around extremely gifted, intelligent, people like Jake and you, Mike, and, Jay Kinder and Mike Reese and Al Stasic and all these people that have helped me in my business.
Yeah.
So I knew early in real estate that I needed to invest in myself. So coaching, was the number one thing. The only thing that I ever knew growing up is I knew sports, right? And I always knew that everybody that I'd ever done sports with had a coach. So to me, it didn't seem any different to get into business and to have a coach because I knew nothing. I came to Columbus to go to Ohio State, went to Ohio State, knew I wanted to get into real estate, started investing a little bit personally, got licensed, and had no clue what to do. So the story I was telling is how I found Jay Kinder, went to a very small conference at the time. I think it was the first year of Kinder Reese, or maybe the second year. And Mr. Wally Bressler, I met and had me in their VIP room upstairs. And after a few cocktails, somehow had my credit card in his hand and started signing me up. So I literally went to this conference, guys. I was doing maybe, I don't know, 12, 15 transactions. I wasn't doing much business, but I knew where I wanted to get to. And I knew that I did believe in myself. I just didn't know how to get there, and I had no money. So, I always came from some of these wrong beliefs that you needed money to make money, and that's not true. Having money makes it easier to make more money, but you definitely don't need money to make money. There's a lot of other paths. So they invited me back to the room, big room full of alcohol and fun people that can sell anything. And I got signed up for, like I said, I got signed up for coaching. I got signed up for a lead generation website, and I got signed up for leads. And I literally that evening, I spent more as far as what I committed to on my credit card than even what my personal monthly bills were. So you talk about scary. And then the story I was telling was I woke up the next morning, and I remember I went down to get some breakfast, and I called my mother because I had to confess to somebody what I just did. and try to figure out, you want someone to you really, at the end of the day, usually want someone to tell you are right? You want them to reinforce the behavior that you just had. So, I told her what I did. She said, you need to call these guys. You need to cancel everything. Ryan, you're like, she knew what I was making. She's like, you're not bringing in this type of money. But the great thing about a credit card is it gives you a little bit of time, right?
Yeah. Minimum payments, baby.
So after I got off the phone with her, I still, there was a bunch of, just smart guys that, I still was talking to before we were leaving the conference there. And they're like, Ryan, you got to go all in and you got to at least, give this thing a go and a try. And like I said, I knew what I was capable of, or I felt like I did. And I just needed the tools to help me get there. And that was the coaching. And then, of course, if you don't have certain tools in real estate, whether it's .loop or, whether it's the MLS or whatever it is, you're not going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was the coaching and lead generation. Like I said, I was in Columbus. I knew nobody, and I looked like I was 12 years old. And all my friends were like working at McDonald's and stuff. So nobody was buying a home, right? So I had to figure out, how do I meet people? I was good at going and having some drinks at the bar and meeting people that way, but
me too.
That leads to rough mornings. So
not only that, it rarely leads to actual business, is what I found. It's more of a
yeah.
Go through the motions.
Yeah, you can meet some friends for sure, but yeah, as far as business, no. So I had to figure out something, and thank God, these guys went 2 feet in with me. I started out, coach, Mr. Cliff Freeman, Coach Cliff was my first coach and really helped me out a lot and got me to understand the path that I needed to be on. I always tell everyone, without, back in the day, it was printing out Google Maps, right? But without a GPS or something in your car telling you where to go, you can go anywhere. I just built a new house, and I have to use my GPS to get there because I'm still not real familiar with the area. So if I just got in my car and tried to go to the new house I just built, it would take me, I'd get there, but it'd take me a little while.
Well, I don't like to think When I go to the airport here in Springfield, still probably half the time I put on the GPS,
Yeah.
and I've been here like 6-7 years.
Yeah, it just makes it, yeah, and you know, that's what we want for our business, right? So that's why, you know, why do I spend money the way that I do on lead gen and like Market Maker and all the different tools and stuff that I have is because I know then scaling is easy, you know, and that's the great thing about what you guys have put together and designed at Market Maker. I think our team yesterday had four. I think we had 4 converted leads onto our calendar. If I remember checking yesterday, I think we had 4 that you guys did. So then it was just my agents, right? Just making the phone work. So it's taken that plunge. I mean, you got to, you know, I've learned, and I think, you know, I know Jake and I know you guys well, and I know that you live by this, that you got to be so just natural of being uncomfortable, right? You just got to be uncomfortable, and you got to be maybe scared and be able to really live in that world and thrive in it. And when I'm uncomfortable, I know it's a good thing, you know, because I know that I'm moving forward and I'm doing something of what I'm supposed to be doing. When I'm comfortable, I get bored, and I know that, you know, it would be easy for me right now to just turn the dial back, right? I mean, we're doing 300, and we kind of we got our systems dialed in pretty well, but that's not where we want to get to. So, I mean, I'm investing now into some different ISA things for nurture leads, and we're starting a CHT university here in Columbus. So it's going to be the Columbus House Team University that I'm putting together. So, you know, I think when you get comfortable being uncomfortable, that's when things in your life start changing.
You make me uncomfortable all the time. You call me up. You're like, oh, you're too comfortable.
I'm like, Mike, what are you doing? Like, let's go. Let's blow this thing up.
I know. I love it. It's nice to have friends like that. It's good to have peers that push you, you know?
Yes.
So I was joking with you, but it's true. Like a very similar story for me, except for I called my dad, and he didn't say, don't do it. He said, don't pay them the year in full, even though they're going to give you 20% discount. He said, pay them monthly so that you control the money and make sure that it's what you think it is and it's good. And that was his advice, and it was excellent advice because it took the pressure off. You know, I had like that amount of money in the bank, and I just wanted to get the discount on the 12 months of coaching. But I think you know, honestly, the big couple of pillars there is the ability to be coachable. And you know, too often for us, there's 2 things. One, it's fear. You know, like, oh, it's not working instantly, or that doesn't work in my market, or my market is different. And then the other one is just not being coachable, you know. What would you say, like, to somebody who, I mean, maybe comes and joins your team and isn't very coachable? Like, how do you work through that?
Yeah.
How do you get their mindset to be, you know, more open?
I think it's proof, because, you know, even as we were developing our team and you know, as you guys know, culture is so important in who you bring on. But we had some agents that came on that are a little bit more established. You know, they've been in the real estate in the game for a minute. And to an older school, you know, agent, which I've been in this almost 18 years now. But because of the way that I kind of developed in my pathway, I just love technology. And like I said, I had to find a path because I didn't have a sphere. I didn't have referrals past client. I didn't have any of that. So I had to find a way. But for us, it's the proof. You know, I can show brand new agents. I have an agent on my team now. He's been with us, I think, 3 years, not even quite 3 years. And he's going to do about 50 some transactions this year. And his business was based solely on internet leads, on lead generation, conversion, a proven process and system that we've put in place. So I can show, you know, for me, I can show you. You know, it's not just me telling it. And, you know, because a lot of people, well, Ryan, you got this big team and it's easy for you to spend money and do this. And yeah, now, but like I said, when I go back and I tell people, you know, I literally started with a shoestring budget, and it was leading with revenue. If I didn't have the money, I didn't want to spend it. And that's why, thank God at the time when I was young, I didn't have, I always thank Discover Card, because without them, they were the gift that got me going.
Yeah, the official sponsor of Columbus.
Yeah, I had to use credit card.
I did too.
So it's believing, and you either, I think, come from just a personality being open-minded. Like I said, like people surrounded. That's why I know you guys. If I brought you any idea, Mike, I know you'd be open-minded. Even if in the beginning you'd be like, "What the hell is Ryan talking about?" You'd be open-minded enough to look at it and have a conversation. So, for me, it's showing these agents, hey, look at the proof. I can show you the closings. I can show you the numbers. And this stuff is what I love about, and I think what you love about what you've built, Mike, is that it's scalable and duplicatable. Like it doesn't matter where. We could literally drop into any market. I truly believe that. And we'd have to it'd have to be the right people. We're starting out with myself, but we could generate the leads in any market, run the same systems and processes, and have the same results, because human beings buying in Columbus aren't different than human beings buying in Texas or wherever. There's still that same process they go through. And I always say, real estate is a process, not an event. Nobody wakes up and says, I'm buying a home today. And you just got to have everything in place. So when they're time to pull that trigger and they're like, yep, that's the house, I want to go look, or whatever that buying kind of signal is for them, that you're the agent that's in front of them. And that's what you guys obviously help do, right? The whole thing behind Market Maker is the lead, generating the lead, and then helping the agent to basically get that lead down to the funnel to where they're ready to spend some money.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that what makes you really qualified to speak on that is the fact that you do have such a large peer group specifically, and you hang out with mega agents all around the country, and you see the similarities in what they do and how it works there, just like us. I mean, just like me, just like Jake, and I think that's what's so frustrating is like helping people understand that connection. I mean, I don't personally, I would never sell real estate without heavy lead generation, especially on the internet side, because it's much more empowering to have a conversation with somebody from that position than it is like when I would door knock or cold, like all those things that just are high rejection. I just would never do that. I wouldn't. I mean, we don't even do that. We don't do that here. We don't do that in any business because it makes life suck.
I agree with you. I like. I always said, people always talk about being lazy is bad, but I think for human beings, sometimes being lazy leads to innovation, right? I mean, the reason I always tried to find a different way of doing it, I was a little lazy at certain things. So let me shortcut this, right? I mean,
yeah.
My parents always, I was brought up that, you got to be this labor and do all this hard. I'm like, well, let me figure out a way to do this easier. And what lead generation does is, not only does it make it easier to be in real estate, but it makes it easier to sleep at night. Because even when, and I've told people this story, I've built my business to where, like I said, it's duplicatable, and I can literally, I plan, obviously we just did our goal planning for 2021. I can plan and I can get if we're doing the things we need to do, I can get pretty close to exactly what my plan was every year by putting in our lead gen and knowing our numbers, because I know the lead source and I know what the conversion on that lead source should be. And if we're not hitting that, we're looking at it obviously weekly, as it's going. But even with COVID, where a lot of people really, either had to pivot or they were nervous because maybe, that referral group or your sphere or whatever that group was shut down, lead generation for us was still making things pretty consistent.
That's awesome. And, I know you guys got that 10 o'clock curfew thing going on, and It makes people nervous. It's just fear of the unknown, but you got to control what you can control. And no matter what, if you're going to still sell real estate 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 6 years from now, 12 years from now, you got to constantly, in my opinion, build that database and build that, future business, because it's just so dang powerful. I mean, I can't imagine selling without it.
We had somebody yesterday that was raring to go, and he said, I got to wait a few months because I got to see what the president does for the economy, And I was like, okay, like in a few months, you're still going to be selling real estate. Like you're still like the people that would be coming in now are going to be buying and selling then, you know, like you're going to just be behind the 8 ball. It doesn't change. Downturns happen. I talked to somebody the other day that's been licensed since like 82. She was like, I don't even know how many downturns I've lived through now in real estate. She was like, this one's been the most confusing because it felt like it was supposed to be, but then it's now inventory is crazy. But she was like, the one thing I know I always have to do regardless is be generating leads. And I was like, oh, you get it. I love it.
Yeah.
She talked about the database and, you know, always having to replenish it. And she just got it, you know, and there's some people that do that. And I was going to say, when you asked him, you know, like how he gets his agents over it and you said proof, I think that is glorious. And something else that just always pops into my head whenever you guys are talking, you know, I think back of all the people that have gone through journeys like you guys, where you go from not knowing anybody in a market to being a top agent in your marketplace, selling hundreds of deals, yada, yada, yada. Like the most fascinating thing that I see between every single one of you that have done that is a lack of ego. Right? Like I feel like so many times people have this like ego thing that they have to battle. That's like, I know, and they sometimes fail because it's I think I already know the answer or how this is going to go, or I know what I should be saying rather than just being coachable. And like you're selling 300 deals a year. There's a lot of people that would be like, oh my God, I can learn so much from you, but you're still so coachable and like your mentality is like, I don't know enough. Like we're trying to do more. I got to go figure it out and learn, you know? And when that goes away, I feel like that's usually when growth stops happening, but the people always have no ego and they're willing to take action. And sometimes they have to be forced to take the first bits of action. But it's like those commonalities is like whenever I talk to somebody and they're newer or they're on the rise, you know what I mean? And they have that kind of mentality. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a done deal. Like you'll be doing hundreds of deals within 3 years max, you know, just because they have that built into them.
I was going to push back. I was going to say, you know, I definitely have an ego. It's just I don't place it ahead of getting to the goal. You know what I mean? Because the ego, I always love that Kanye verse. The ego is the steam that powers the dream, you know? And I think that there is, you know, a healthy aspect to ego. But again, I don't, like if somebody's telling me how to do something better, I'm not going to like buck up and be like, oh, yeah, I already know what I'm doing. Not normally.
No, I think it is. We all have ego, but what I would say was the biggest thing for me, Jake, was when I got into coaching again, when I got in, and even now, right? You know, I'm number 4 in all of Columbus, which is a huge market, you know.
Yeah.
And when I go and you know, even before when I go to these conferences, when I go, you know, Mike and Jake, the room that we're in, it's humbling. You got to be humble to be in these rooms because you're talking guys. You know, when I started hanging out with Jim Cady, here's a guy selling 600 homes a year, right?
Yeah.
And at the time when I met Jim, I think I was doing maybe right around 100, and I thought I was doing pretty decent. But that's what humbles you. And when you see, you know, very high D personality guys in a room sharing and willing to do what you're doing now, right? What are you doing? You're giving back because you truly care, not just about Market Maker. You guys care about people's business. And that's what's huge. And when you can get people like that in a room and they're still open-minded and they're still learning from each other, that's when you get something pretty powerful.
I think, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think also the competitive nature of the individual. I mean, you being in sports, you're obviously a competitive guy. I'm a competitive guy. One of the paradigm shifts for me was my coach back in the day. I was like, I'm generating too many leads. I got to slow this thing down. I'm not going to get to them all. He said, listen, every lead you don't generate is one that your competition does. And I was like, oh, snap. We got to beat that competition. We ain't going to let them get any of those leads. I'm going to just keep generating them. I'm going to generate all of them, you know?
Yeah.
And what happens is like it's biting off more than you can chew and nibbling like hell, but it kind of just pulls you through to that success, you know? When you got so many up to bat, you can screw it up a million times. You finally get it right, and then it's, you know?
I agree 100%.
And like, listen, like a few weeks ago, we were listening to some of your team's calls, Ryan, on that call that we did. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like, and I listened to a lot of calls, right, that these people have been, right? We had a conversation with them, tee them up. And it's some, you can tell people that have been properly trained, you know, and they all follow a very, very, I mean, like maybe 5-10% difference between like all the top teams around the country. You'd probably find a very, very, very similar script through buyers and sellers when you got them on the phone. And so I can tell and I can hear, and then I can hear the other ones that, you know, like I listened to one of our clients call $2 million buyer in Laguna Beach, and living in Orange County, right? But he had a Chicago number. And you know, the first question our client had for them, you have a Chicago number. Is that where you live? Like trying to disqualify him immediately. And like, thank God this guy was like like he was also in sales. So he actually started kind of selling the other way around. It was a really weird call, but it ended up being okay. But it, like immediately out of the gate, it was just like, ugh, you know what I mean? But there's skills, like you've got a process, you're creating a university right now. Like I think that a lot of times you get in your own way a little bit of thinking that you already got it down when there might be a better way, you know? And when you have it and you have that many up to bats, you know what I mean? Like it's hard not to just get it nailed down. And then once you got it, it's a skill that literally is like a money tree.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that was, I think one of the main things that I learned when I started lead generating, and even at the time I wasn't generating a ton, but before that I was so scared to even get in front of someone because I didn't know where my next business was coming, and I really thought if I screw this up, I don't know what I'm going to eat again, right? And that makes things very scary. So when you start lead generating, you realize, all right, let's hit the phones, let's be aggressive. If you screw, that's why I tell my agents, hey, you know, if you don't click with this person or this doesn't turn into, you're going to have another lead. We're going to keep this machine going, and you're going to have a ton of at bats. And that's where it becomes, when you understand the numbers of it, that's when you start liking some of the no's, right? Because you know, eventually, no, yes, right? And when you really understand the model and the way that lead conversion works, it gets exciting when you're like, man, I hit the phones all day and didn't get anything. You know what tomorrow's going to be, Mike? Tomorrow's going to be a great day.
Right.
You know the flip side of that. I don't know why my mind goes like this, but when I would have like a big streak, I'd be like, all right, about to come into a little dry time. I got to pay those dues.
You can't think that way.
Oh, but I know. But I would mentally prepare myself, like, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
You can't have
You're not hitting a home run every time you went up to bat. I don't know anyone who's done it. So
yeah.
All averages, baby.
What do you think about this aspect? And we're going to wrap up here because I want to be respectful of your time. But you know, of the fear, like you put it all on credit cards back in the day. You pretty much it was get rich or die trying, right? You were either going to do it or you were going to crumble. You think that fear is like a key component to really punching through?
Yeah. So you don't know what you don't know, and you know. Like I said, I knew the coaching part and I knew investing in myself because, like I said, even in sports, I always go back to that because, you know, that's coming from a small little town where I came from. That's where I put all my cards in. And I knew that if someone else was sleeping and I was practicing my jump shot, if somebody else was out goofing off and I was that I was going to get that far ahead of them. So I knew, you know, investing in myself was the biggest thing to go. And I think, you know, it's being uncomfortable. It's, you know, as I've gotten older, I've learned, you know, growing up again, and it's mentality kind of just the small town that I was in, but everybody always said, have a plan B and a C and all this stuff. Right. Well, when I went into real estate, just like you said, there was no plan B because the corporate world, which is where I was. So I was going to Ohio State and I was working a corporate job and I was miserable. And even at my age at that time, I was making okay money because I'd moved up a little bit. I was a manager. I was doing all right, but I hated it. And doing real estate, I wasn't making any money really yet. But I knew that's where I wanted to be. So for me, it literally was that there's not going to be a plan B. You know, we're going to go all in with this.
Burn the boats.
Island burn, baby.
You know,
100%.
A lot of coaching programs, they cost so much money these days, and that's part of their justification. It's like, if it don't hurt, then you're not going to pay attention nearly as much and make sure you extract the value out of it. And it's funny, I'm going through a coaching program right now, and I was last year, They lowered it because of COVID. Last year it was $2,500 a month, 12 months. This year they lowered it to $1,500. And you know what? I have not paid near as much attention this year as I did last year. And I got it on my list every day. I got it on my calendar every day. It's a little more self-teaching than immersion and getting together like it was. But I'll tell you, I mean, I've noticed that to be true. That just that little difference in price, it's like, well, I'll get to it, And here we are, almost 3/4 of the way through the year, and I'm only 1/4 of the way through the material. So
Yeah.
It's just
it's true. I mean,
it's one of those things. If it doesn't hurt, you might not pay much attention to it.
Well, I don't think people respect something that's given to them for free, right? You just don't. Either you earned it through, through the dollar pain of it, or usually there's that sweat equity that you've put in and all the different things, and that's for me it was I like moving towards pleasure and away from pain. So always those were the things for me. Like I used to door knock. I used to do all of those things and I hated it so much. But like I said, I wanted to have freedom and I wanted to get out of that 9-to-5 world so bad that I was willing to do anything. So I went door knocking and I called the FSBOs and I called the expireds and I did all of that stuff and that's why I tell my agents now, I'm like, guys, you got to understand the beauty of the world that you're in. We have appointments being set to your phone, your calendar. And these are people that have talked about real estate. It's not like when I would grab the phone book back in the day and I would just, hey, Jake, you thinking of buying? He'd be like, what are you doing, dude? I'm like, why are you calling me? I don't know. Like,
get a real job
to talk to.
Yeah.
I talked to one of you.
Yeah, I got to talk to someone. Yeah. But once I found lead generation and then I didn't have to get the phone book and I didn't have to door knock, game changer.
What would you say to an agent out there that maybe has a respectable business, really never got into the lead gen side, or conversely, maybe as a newer agent knows they have to do something, but they're still just kind of fearful. What do you think the main thing that they need to focus on? Because I mean, there's a lot of different, lead generation platforms and things of that nature, but not necessarily a plug for Market Maker, but their skill set, their internal mindset. What would you say to them?
I mean, they got to get into it or be left behind. Number one. Everybody's scared about Zillow getting a game and this or that. I say, forget about all that. Focus on what you can control. But you have to, in today's world, you have to get into this game. And it depends on where you want your business to be. But like I said, to automate things and, they got to put the time into education, right? There's a ton of anything out there. There's a ton of lead gen platforms. There's a ton of CRMs. There's a ton of it. So you got to educate. And like what you guys are doing, I look at those things, right? You guys are giving back. There's agents such as myself on your platform that'll answer a call for anyone at any time saying, hey, I'm doing this, right? And you guys aren't paying. I mean, I'd like a check, but you guys aren't paying me, for that.
Pay you in compliments, brother.
I'm trying to get. I just want to ride in that new caddy. So, no. But I always say that the proof's in just the success, right? So I tell people, if you don't have a CRM, the first thing you do is you got to get some. But if you're going to get something, do the research, right? I'm big on. I shop everything online. I look at all the reviews of anything that I'm going to purchase, and I just make sure that I'm doing something smart with my money. So that's the biggest thing. Is I tell someone is you have to. I spend a ton of money a month on all of these tools, and I don't do it just because I think it's fun. And that's what I tell my agents. You guys are using the best tools of what I've seen out there. And I've been around, the best, I think, real estate agents in the world.
Without a doubt.
I can't think of any other groups. Well, there have been guys that are just, more badass than these guys. So I tell them, the tools that we're using is the same thing. I say I've never been this smart. I always steal this from Kinder. I was never the smartest kid in the room, but I did hang out and I did sit by smart people because I usually didn't do my homework and I would borrow theirs.
That's always my argument for why women are smarter. I'm like, hey, I don't know about you, but I never copied off any guys in school. I always copied off my girl.
Yeah, no, that's true. I made friends with some very smart people in school and they helped me out a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, I just appreciate you being on here. Hopefully, what we've done is we've inspired some confidence in some people to take action and get out of their comfort zone. And if they've already done that, maybe giving them some hope to continue, the good fight, because it's a life-changing thing. And that's why I'm passionate about it. That's why I love this business too, because, for me, I'd probably be in the shallows of real estate had I not found, those key components of online lead gen and especially coaching as well.
I would tell anyone out there, give you guys a call, because like I said, it makes your business so much better to not have to worry. I have no worries on, are we going to keep lead generating? Now, you still got to do the work and put in the time, make your calls, do your follow, all of that for sure. But you guys are doing so much of the heavy lifting. To be honest, I don't even know all the ins and outs of all the stuff that you do know. I just know you send me leads and I love it. So.
You turn them into commissions. That's the main thing, right?
Hey,
put it through
but it is, you're right. It's life changing. And real estate, I say done correctly, real estate, I think, is the best industry in the world.
I agree. And look at the impact that you're able to have. I mean, on all the people in your team, all the families that you're able to help, the ancillary businesses, title companies, insurance, mortgage. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing. I love real estate, and it ain't going away. We're all going to always have to live somewhere. And so, for me, it's a very safe investment, whether you're buying real estate, investing in the brokerage end and selling real estate. And the main key takeaway that I really didn't drill down that I loved, as far as what you said, is invest in yourself. I was always taught, when you invest in yourself, no one can ever take it away from you. I'm not fearful about tomorrow, because no matter what, like you said, you could drop me somewhere, anywhere.
Yeah, we'll build it back up.
Yeah, I could rub a couple of sticks together and come right back out. You know what I mean? And I'd probably do it somewhere that was warmer this time.
You and me both.
Yeah.
You and me both.
No, what we know now. I mean, if we're going to start over, but it's because I've invested that skill, time into those skill sets internally, and again, nobody can take it away. They can't bankrupt it away. They can't, you know what I mean? Like, government can't impose something to take it away. It's always there, and even just as important, it translates into any other business. I had a mortgage company, translates into that business. Software translates into that business. I mean, those skills are just paramount. And I don't need to collect degrees, but I will definitely collect skills on a regular basis.
I always said, if something happened, I'm going to call up Odo, and I'm pretty sure he'll hire me, right?
Yeah, in a heartbeat, and vice versa. You know what I mean? I might call Jim because he's closer to the ocean, though.
That's what I say. I don't know that I want to move where you're at either. So,
hey, like at the Ozarks, no curfew, right? We were talking.
That's true.
Well, I appreciate you again, man. And like you said, if you guys want some help with this stuff, go to marketmakercall.com. Check it out. Thanks so much for everybody. And thanks again, Ryan, for being here, brother.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep. Thanks, gentlemen.